Yeah. Yeah. Let me take you on a day. We ain't gotta wait. Tell me if you got an ex nigga in the way.
Hey, party people. What is up? It is your girl, Brittany Bets here, and we are about to be talking sporty with Ryan. Hi, Ryan.
What's happening? I know it's not going to be as fun as your usual suspect with P, but hey, happy to fill in, so thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for being readily available. Good to
maybe
have
I'll do,
you on the show.
Maybe because it's P, I'll just say I'm Ryan D, and it kind of rhymes still.
Perfect. There you go. There you go. I know you guys probably thought, did Paula get some facial hair? No.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Going good. We didn't even talk about this offline yet, but I guess preparing for this hurricane coming in or whatever. How crazy is that?
Yes, I was literally going to say, do you have your sandbags and everything? Because the hurricane is coming.
Well, I haven't, sadly, I'm that person. Whenever you watch the news and there's hurricanes coming and people are in their homes, just filming, hanging out, that's me right now. I can't take it seriously. I'm like, is this even real? I kind of want to go down to the beach and watch it happen.
Okay, so you're not going to evacuate if you have to.
No, I think I'm so inland, I'll probably be fine. But we would, of course.
No, we all. Yeah, I don't think it'll make it. The people in the desert, though, they said that it.
Yeah, did you see videos of Vegas yesterday?
Vegas was getting the rain and the dry lightning, right?
Yeah, got crazy. Yeah. And Palm Springs right now is dumping.
Palm Springs, I saw a video of La Quinta. It was a lot of was it rain, thunder, and dry light? I don't remember, but it was getting a little crazy with the weather down there.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll probably, after we're done with this, we'll run to the store and just get some essentials for fun. Why not? And hunker down and make it a movie day. So I can't complain, though.
This is what the Raiders bring into town for a preseason game, huh?
Exactly. Are they still going to play tonight? Are they going to play tonight? Nothing's been canceled, right?
They have to. There's nothing expected. I've been in SoFi and they've paused the game for lightning.
Yeah.
And people were asking, why can't we just close that area? But I don't know what the liability is, but I think that if it's forecasted around the time of the game, then they'll either postpone it or they'll just maybe.
Yeah. I know the Chargers Saints game on Sunday, they're really thinking about, do they move it? Do they wait? But yeah, tonight Rams game should be fine. Shouldn't even rain until tomorrow morning, so we should be good.
Yeah. Speaking of Rams, they had a preseason showing last weekend.
They did.
And yeah, what are we thinking?
Well, what are you thinking? You lead it off. I've talked about them all week. I want to hear your thoughts, then I'll give mine.
I bet. It's really hard for me to say. Sean McVay, kudos to him because he has definitely just kind of embarked on a lot of things and he's taken the lead on a lot of things. One of those things is sit in the starters. Ever since he's come in the league, that's his thing. And so I feel that I don't really get a good sense of what the squad is going to look like because, our key guys aren't in there. And then when we do play preseason games, just this vanilla offense that we run, and there's really nothing that's a spark and there's no development of the plays. It's just get out there and run these reps and let me see who's going to make the roster. Yeah. So in terms of getting an idea of how the Rams are going to be from preseason, I don't have it. I'm hearing a lot of things in camp or just in training and practice that the O-line is looking tragic. The D-line isn't holding their own. Granted, Aaron Donald, he had missed practice or whatever, but I don't feel that I have a sense of this team yet until we can get Matthew Stafford in there, Aaron Donald, Ernest Jones, that type of thing. So,
yeah, you said it. It's almost impossible just because, it's funny that Sean McVay started this whole don't start starters thing, and the league all followed suit. And it's everyone now is kind of reverting back to maybe we should play the starters a little bit.
A series.
At least a series, something. But Brittany, I think I would be real disappointed if outside of Rob Havenstein, if they didn't at least play every offensive lineman these last two games. They just need to see something. There's no, you got a rookie in Avila going to be starting. You got Coleman Shelton, who's basically moving from guard to center. They don't know who's going to start at left tackle. Is it going to be Jackson? Is Noteboom moving inside? They got Logan Bruss, who is obviously probably going to be a backup behind Havenstein, but they're moving him back to right tackle. These guys just need rep. They got to play. The
Well,
biggest thing
yeah.
last year when we go into that Bills game, and there was a lot of stuff that happened in the offseason and whatnot, but you go into that Bills game, all the hype around you, and there was a lot of reasons, but the main reason they lost that game is because the offensive line got absolutely demolished by the Bills defensive line. And it's because they hadn't played together. It was some new guys and they just weren't prepared. And so I think the O-line, that's my biggest thing, is they got to play some reps these preseason games.
Yeah. That's where you win games, at the line of scrimmage. And I would have thought that would have been our focus, especially in the draft, and I've said time and time again that I don't question Samuel Lester Sneed and the decisions that he makes, because he really does find diamonds in the rough when it comes to the draft, and like him and Sean, they don't need that war room setting and all that personnel around them, because like their minds and just the way that they look at film and the way that they come up with these picks, like it's undoubtedly just like they're in like a tank, like they're just hunkered down, them two, and like these minds are incredible with these picks. But why didn't we get anybody for the O-line? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why didn't we continue with that? Like, we knew that we needed left tackle to be just a little bit more polished. And from what I'm thinking, Noteboom is just going to probably be dropped.
Yeah, it's I think his dead cap hit this, like next year for sure he'll be gone because he has zero cap hit, zero dead money. If they drop him this year, I think there's a fairly big dead money hit, so they probably would hang on to him to it. Like there's no point at this point. But he's not going to play, I don't think. It's not sound like it. I think Jackson's your left tackle, at least as of now.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's hard for me to get excited about, seeing Tutu out there getting separation and things like that. Because I'm like, still, what about the O-line?
Yeah.
Is Matthew going to be able to throw the ball to him?
Yeah, right? Yeah. Are there going to be any running lanes to run through? So let's talk some good, though. What do you think of Steady B? Everyone loves Stetson Bennett all of a sudden. What do you think?
I think that he is going to appreciate being a backup quarterback developing behind Matthew Stafford.
Yeah. You think he'll win the backup job, though, over Brett Rippon?
I think so. I think just because of this team, like the what am I trying to say? Like, it's a young team, you know what I mean? And not to say that his connections to Georgia mean so much, but I think that means a lot behind Matthew Stafford, and obviously they picked him up for a reason. So I'm excited to see what he can do. Yeah. I didn't think that he looked the best. Obviously preseason, you got to dust off some nerves because he had some really bad throws early on, and then he shook it off, and then he made a couple of good throws, but there's just still things that I need to see. Like the line was terrible, but third string, what can we say?
He reminds me of, like, honestly, at least maybe in swagger and demeanor, like he reminds me of Baker Mayfield. Like he's not the most polished, he's not the best, but he just kind of has that game time swagger that you're like, well, at least this is kind of fun to watch. Like,
that was a terrible throw,
but then he follows it up with like a good throw, and you're like, well, this is at least fun. Like they're moving the football, they look like they're having a good time out there. Like, that's the Steady B vibes I get.
Why couldn't we keep Baker? Like, I'm not stuck on it, but that is something that I ponder about often. Like, he went to Tampa Bay.
Do you remember what Tampa paid him?
Maybe 10 million, maybe.
So I feel like it had
maybe to be like 8.8 peanuts.
You keep talking. I'll figure it out.
No, but that would have been. I thought that was going to be McVay's shiny new little car that he drives on the weekends.
I think he would have liked it. I just don't think they could. I think one, they couldn't afford him too much, and then two, well, no, yeah, he only signed it. It's a $4 million, 1 year, $4 million.
$4 million. See, I'm over. Yeah, okay. We could have.
They could have made that work. I think it was more so, from what I heard, that he wanted a legit shot to start, and he was never going to start over Matthew Stafford. So,
well, that makes sense.
I talked a lot through the offseason, like if Stafford decided to retire, then obviously they would have kept Baker. He'd been the starter, then they would have drafted a QB earlier. But I think since Stafford came back, it was like, Stafford's our guy while he's here. So unless he gets injured again. So I think he just wanted to go somewhere where he had a shot to start.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I loved it. I mean, I love where they go 2-3 of the 5 games he played. It wasn't like they turned everything around, but it was just more fun. He's
I
just
mean,
kind of,
in 48
he's
hours,
totally LA. Yeah.
48 hours he got here, he had a comeback game against the Raiders in his Browns cleats.
Yeah, I know. Oh,
Gotta love it. Gotta love
it
it.
was the best. 98 yards on the final drive. Like, you
Yeah,
couldn't be more Hollywood than that.
seriously, that was storybook right there.
Like, after that game, Brittany, I think Baker was like more popular than any other LA like player outside of Aaron Donald. Like,
Yeah,
he was already one game in. Everyone's like, all right, Baker Mania, let's go. LA.
stock went all the way up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That is so funny. Oh, well, Baker, maybe you can do something in Tampa.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a Tampa preseason game. I haven't really been watching too much preseason, to be honest. I've been catching DTR.
That's right.
UCLA alum. I know my girl Paula will be proud of us talking about him, so we can maybe just touch on that a tad. But he's doing some things, like over 300 yards, a couple of tutties, some rushing yards.
He's looking great. Yeah.
Somewhere?
No, it's fun. He's like he's a gamer too, and so we obviously followed him at UCLA for 5 years. One of the few quarterbacks to play 5 years in college.
Yeah.
But heading into his senior year, I had him as kind of a dark horse Heisman candidate. He started off really strong, and then the Bruins tapered a little bit, so he kind of fell out of that running. But he had a really solid year, so I was like, all right, this guy's gonna have a solid chance in the NFL. He did great at the Shrine Bowl. Bill Belichick like raved about him at the Shrine Bowl and how well he played. So I was pretty surprised when he fell as late as he did, but I'm not surprised by how well he's playing. So I mean, and I'm happy for him. And we talked after he's drafted, is like it would be the best thing ever because of all the whole, and we don't have to get into it, but all the whole Deshaun Watson stuff. If somehow DTR ends up not beating him out this year, but takes over that starting role, basically kicks Deshaun Watson out, and then DTR is the face of the Browns. Like, how sweet would that be?
Yeah, that would be good. Ooh, yeah. I can see it now.
Right?
Well, I'm sure Paula is rooting for that.
I think everyone's rooting for that.
For all UCLA people. I mean, yeah, that's her.
Well, it's fun because his running mate, Demetric Felton, who he played with for 3 years, they're like backup running back in Cleveland. So they've had like a nice little 1-2 connection in these preseason games.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's really nice.
So go Bruins. Go Bruins and Trojans in the NFL. We love to see it. Love to see them shining out.
Of course. LA stand up.
That's right. So
how do you think the Jets are looking in the preseason?
Have you been watching Hard Knocks?
I have.
I have too. Well, at first, how they're looking. I mean, again, they're like the Rams, right? Like we're not seeing Rodgers, we're not seeing their starters. So Zach Wilson, I guess, looks a little better. I guess a little bit. Their defense. I mean, their defense is gonna be balling. Their defense is gonna be so good. So I don't care if it's their first team, second team, third team. They got a top 5 defense, and
we knew that a couple of years ago. We knew that 2 years ago in that draft. Yeah. Like how they did and just how they were just shoring everything up. So
that was my favorite thing in Hard Knocks. Was it end of episode 1 or beginning of episode 2 when Robert Saleh, the head coach, they're in that meeting room and he's like, "We got a ballin' defense." Like he's just praising the defense, but our offensive line sucks. We're gonna lose games.
That's episode 2, I think.
Just totally called him out. I was like, I love it. But he's like, I mean, he's a defensive guy, and he's like, our defense is amazing. Like they kept us in every game last year. Offensive line sucks.
True.
But it's true.
I was telling Deontay about that last night at dinner. There were no phones on our date night last night, but I wanted to pull my phone out so bad because we were talking about that Jets defense and how they held, like the defense kept them in games, and I wanted to show him every week's score. And it wasn't like they ever got blown out. I don't think they lost a game by more than a score,
Yeah.
But again, no phone. So it was just, he had to take my word on that one.
Well, you're correct. So he should. I'm sure he's learned by now. What are you guys, like almost 10 years of marriage? I'm sure he's learned to just take your word by this point.
Got to.
Yeah, got to.
I'm always right.
Yeah. I go through phases where it's like, I feel like every married couple has those like, okay, you have this number of years where I'm like, okay, everything you do is right. And then there's like a year where I get a little feisty and I'm like, I'm going to test you.
Okay.
Do that for a year. And then I'm like, okay, that wasn't worth it. I'm back.
Give it up.
Yeah, you're right.
Give it up. Yeah. We want easier days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like you look at the Broncos last year where Nathaniel Hackett was the head coach. They were the same. Like their defense kept them in every game. Obviously, they just didn't play well in offense. And now it's just ironic that Hackett's on the Jets. But obviously,
if they would have won if they would have scored, I think the stat was like 18 points in almost
18
every
points.
game, they would have won like almost every game.
Yeah, they would have. I think they would have been 11-6 or 12-5 if they would have scored 18 points.
Yeah. Well, speaking of marriage, there's a new marriage in town with Sean Payton and Russ. How do you think that's going to go?
I think it's going to be. I mean, it can't be worse than last year, right? Nothing can be worse than last year. So everything I've heard, because I got obviously a lot of my, well, not obviously, but for those who don't know, I'm from Denver, so I got a lot of buddies in Denver, and I know a bunch of the Denver media out there. And from everything I've heard, the first 2 weeks of camp were definitely still some growing pains. Like the defense dominated. Russ was kind of looking like the Russ of last year. They were starting to be a little bit concerned. And then apparently these last 10 days of 2 weeks, like it's been a 180. Like Russ looks extremely comfortable. The offense is humming. Like they're scoring on almost every possession against the defense. So it sounds like, I mean, it's exactly what everyone was expecting when Peyton came in, was just, it was going to be a total reversal of culture, reversal of schematics and all that stuff. So it seems like it's going to be a good marriage, I think. You know, are they going to be a playoff team? I think they're going to flirt with it, but what sucks for them is just the AFC is just so damn good. I mean,
man, it is tough. Like
the Rams literally might make the playoffs just because the NFC is so bad. And the Broncos, I think, could be good, and they're going to miss because the AFC is so good.
I was saying that the other day. Like the NFC is just, I mean, the Vikings, they'll be back. The Vikings will be back, ladies and gentlemen. They can say that it was fluff last season with their cupcake schedule. Kirk Cousins is this, he's that, he isn't this, he isn't that. But I mean, they were a good offense. They had Justin Jefferson. Now they have Jordan Addison on the other side. And then they just locked in Brian Flores to be their defensive coordinator. Yeah, and I saw something where it was like they did reps where they were doing the joint practice with the Titans. And they had 11 plays, defensive plays, 11 on 11 plays where they sent pressure on the quarterback. It's a whole different ball game in Minnesota. And I think that they're going to be good again.
I think so too. I mean, you look at, take away the head coach, because obviously that's changing an entire team, but the two biggest, I'd say even more than players, the biggest free agent acquisitions were the Chargers getting Kellen Moore and the Vikings getting Brian Flores. Because same with the Vikings. The Vikings happened to win a lot of those close games. We talk about the Jets. They were in every game, but they couldn't close them. The Vikings were able to close them. But if they had an actual like competent defense, they would have blown teams out.
And it's been that way for a couple of years too. Like even when they had Zim, I know Zim was a defensive coach. You know, like they stayed in games. The Vikings are always like that team that has like 5,000 linebackers to me. So it's like, so like they are always like real defensive ready. And then if you look at the games from last year, they always came down to like the last minute or went to overtime. And even the season before that. So I think that Brian Flores is going to be the difference maker because I love him as a defensive coach. Because thinking back to the Rams game when the Rams went to Miami with Jared Goff and we played the Dolphins when our sideline was like 5,000 degrees hotter than the Dolphins. Yeah. And it was like the craziest just defense that Jared Goff had ever experienced, like with the disguises and the exotics and just like all the pre-snap stuff. And that is Brian Flores. And I'm excited to see him, you know, it's for him to get another chance, number one. And number two, him to link up with the squad that I think is excited to have him and they can actually go far with Kevin O'Connell on the other side. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
I mean, I'm not saying that I want them to do anything, but it is, the Vikings have never won, you know, anything. And like that storybook feeling, like that gets me excited. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've always had
there's that too.
Lions too. And they're going to be good too. So I've always had a soft spot for the Vikings. Just, I think, some of their history, and then I have family in Minnesota, so it's
shout out Minnesota and Andrew Zimmer.
I was there, Andrew Zimmer. That's right. I was in St. Louis Park. That's where his restaurant is. I was in St. Louis Park a month ago in July. I wanted to go, but we were just like on a time crunch. But so I've had a soft spot for them, and I'm kind of like pseudo rooted for them. And then they get Kevin O'Connell, so I like him even more because I love Kevin O'Connell, former Rams OC. Shout out. But then I've also kind of had a soft spot for the Lions just because they've been so bad, and then now they have Jared Goff. So it's like, you know, these are teams you can root for. Obviously not against the Rams or our LA teams, but you know, they're far away. They're in the Midwest. Like they haven't won anything. Like, why not? Like it would be great to have an NFC playoff picture with the Lions, the Vikings, and the Rams in it. Like that'd be a lot of fun. Yeah. Keep the Niners out of it. Come on.
The NFC has so much room for anybody at this point that the Rams could get to the playoffs. Just win some games, guys.
Yeah.
Let's just focus on having more points.
Maybe not to sabotage your show, but let's talk about this a little bit, because everyone's already saying crowning the Niners like the NFC favorite outside the Eagles. And then everyone is very high in the Seahawks as well. Now, the Seahawks had a good draft. They obviously made the playoffs
for the last 2 years. You can't
really
tell
good
me
drafts.
They've done really well.
Yeah, they've done well. Love Pete Carroll. Fight on. You see him out there slinging the ball around.
Who's in their office with him? Is it Schneider? No.
The GM?
Yeah.
Yeah, Schneider.
Okay, yeah. I mean, together, those two minds are old school type of lesson. Sean,
very similar, just different ages.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I have a ton of respect for Seattle, and I have a ton of respect for Geno. I love his story, but I'm not just sold that he's all of a sudden going to be this like game changing quarterback.
Absolutely, I'm
one season. So that is like, so we can talk about that. And then the Niners, all indications, they still have no idea he's going to start at quarterback. I don't care how good they are or everyone in love with Kyle Shanahan. Maybe I'm just like a hater. I don't know, but I'm like, they don't even know who's going to play quarterback yet. They have no idea.
Yeah.
And we're 10 days from the season.
I'm there with you.
Why are we crowning these guys NFC champs?
Listen, not just NFC champs, but I mean, the power rankings, not, this is just one opinion, but the power rankings have them as like third in the NFL.
Of course.
And I was invited to a lovely Rams Spaces chat on Twitter.
Those are always healthy.
Those are they're amazing. And, I'm just minding my business last Saturday. And I think Trey Lance was playing and there was a Niner fan in there. And he was just like, he was really just trying to bully people, and like call you out on your takes and just try to get you caught up in what you're saying. And my whole point was that I don't think that the Niners are the third best team in the NFL right now. And that's just how I feel. And they're not the same team that they were last year. Like one of the points that I made was that they had some drop off, and he's like, "What drop off?" And I'm like, "Did they lose players on defense? Did they lose starters? Did they not lose their defensive coordinator?" Like there are things that are a lot different. With that being said, Brock Purdy played how many games last season? Like 4.
Yeah,
so like 7. I look at it like there wasn't much film on him, you know what I mean? Like he came in, like he had the momentum and the adrenaline to get games, to win games, to get it done, right? But now, like he's in the system that we know.
Yep.
Like, do you really think that we're not going to scheme to try to get this quarterback again? But all that can be said about Trey Lance too. Whoever, you know what I mean? Whoever's going to be at that quarterback position. But again, I think the main problem is we don't know who the quarterback is.
Well, and we see almost every single year, and I have nothing against Brock Purdy. Like I love his story. 7th round pick, Midwest kid, like, coming out of Iowa.
Mr. Irrelevant, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Irrelevant, and nothing against him. So, I mean, he showed some good stuff. So I'm not saying he was like just lucky. Like he showed some good things. But I feel like every year we see where a kind of out of nowhere quarterback comes. Like we can think of, Trevor Siemian with the Broncos had like 7 good games where everyone's like, oh, he's the next face of the team. And then he was just terrible after that. We saw, obviously, Case Keenum had already had a career, but Case Keenum had an MVP season with the Minnesota Vikings. That was a one-hit wonder. We see it all the time of like these guys come out of nowhere, have a really good situational season, and it doesn't last. So I'm not saying Brock Purdy is going to be that, but I'm not going to say he's the next face of the Niners, the next Steve Young or Joe Montana, because he had 6 good games.
6. Okay.
Or it was like 4 or 6 or something. I don't know, but a couple games behind the backs of an extremely good defense and a good system. So I don't know. And yeah, I think everyone's discounting the fact that DeMeco Ryans is gone. And I love Steve Wilkes. He's a good coach, but it's not DeMeco Ryans.
Yeah. The guy that I was talking to on Spaces brought up the fact that, they've had Steve Wilkes before. And like, even when, the Panthers, that Panther squad that went to the Super Bowl, that was a Steve Wilkes defense, and I mean, yeah, great. Like we're bringing in great coordinators, but it's not the same team,
Yeah.
But we shall see.
Yeah.
In terms of odds, I'm going to tell you.
Okay, there you go.
The NFC West is like the Niners. Let me tell you. The Niners are at about 160. So you can even get even money, minus 160.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Seahawks coming in at plus 230.
Okay.
Then it jumps. The Rams plus 1,000.
Oh,
And then the Cardinals are just go ahead and light your money on fire plus 2,700.
geez. I might throw listen, we're talking Rams. I honestly do believe they have a chance to make the playoffs, and it might be with 8 wins. It might be 8-9, and they sneak in that 7 spot. I don't know if I feel good about them winning the division though, but I might put like $10 on it. Why not?
$10 could get you like $100. Like,
Yeah, why not? I'm down for that. Go to betonline.ag and place it there.
Yes. Do you get any like free incentives if you sign up? Do they give you like?
Yes, you use promo code BELIEVE and you get a 50% welcome bonus.
There you go, guys.
So you put $100 in, you get $50 free to play with.
Nice.
Take that 50 free and then put it on the Rams to win. Why not?
Exactly.
It's free money.
$500 in about 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah, you had a good bet, right? You had a good future bet.
Oh yeah. So futures, disclaimer. Futures are my dad's thing. Like for like the last few years,
I don't have the patience for futures.
He has a lot of patience for them. Not me. But when Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay, because like he's just always been so high on Tampa Bay, he's like, this is it. That was the missing piece. Tampa Bay is going to win the Super Bowl. So that was the start of it. And I think he got him at like 16-1 and he put like $1,000 on him. Dang. So that cashed. So then the next season, he's like, this is it. This is the year for the Rams. And I'm like, oh, I know. You don't have to tell me.
Getting Stafford, yeah.
Like, do you want to go in on a ticket? And I'm like, let's do it. So we went in $5,000 on a ticket for the Rams at 11-1 to win the Super Bowl the year that we won the Super Bowl. And that ticket cashed. So, and it's funny because I told Brandon Lang like all these stories. Shout out B Lang.
B Lang.
And he's always like, every year, tell me what Pops is riding with. Tell me what Pops is riding with. So last year, my mom decided that she wanted to go in with my dad, and they put a couple thousand on the Eagles winning the NFC.
Oh, winning the NFC. It's not the Super Bowl.
Winning the NFC. Yeah. So he kind of like, I thought that he was going to take them to win it all, but he was just like, I've been watching football for 60 years and I know football, and the Eagles, they're it in the NFC. Like there's nobody that, listen, that NFC West champion or the NFC championship game, he was sweating at first. Like that first quarter, he was a little nervous.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Once Purdy's out, he's like, he's doing the Johnny Manziel.
We're not celebrating injuries or anything, but he cashed his ticket, and like that was the 3rd year in a row.
Pop's got it. Who's he going this year?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
Or
this
21
season,
and up.
my dad and I, we have gone back and forth. He already called. He was like, do you want to get in on the ticket? I'm going to the state line because betting is not okay here in California. Thank you. Thank you, residents, for not doing the right thing.
Yeah. Exactly. Unless you go to betonline.ag. Go ahead.
Exactly. Go to BetAG. So my dad went to the state line to put in his bet. And like I said, we've been going back and forth about this all summer long. And he has put some hefty money on the Chargers to win the AFC.
Chargers.
Yeah. I got to show you the ticket. I'll send you a picture of the ticket.
Yes, please.
But he is like, there is nothing that you can tell him. He's like, the defense has just gotten better. Justin Herbert is the best quarterback in the league right now. His issue is, there is no issue. What everybody comes to him with is, how are they going to get past the Chiefs? He's like, the Chiefs aren't the same Chiefs. The Chiefs have had so much fall off. If they don't re-sign Chris Jones, like this, that, the third, they can't pay everybody. He's like, I'm not afraid. And I mean, you got to go into it with that type of confidence. You got him at 13-1. Ooh. So nice value there. But yeah, he's very, very, very stuck on the Chargers.
I love it.
He's going to be bolting up all season long.
And this is the LA squad, so I'm going with Pops. I'm gonna go put someone on the Chargers right now too. Why not?
Yeah,
3 in a row. It's 3 in a row.
3 in a row, guys. Like, I mean, that's a really good record. And I'm gonna have to just sit through the whole season, sit back and wait. And I will tell you, it got to a point because our Rams ticket we split it, and it got to the point where when the Rams lost those 4 games
in November,
he said, and I quote, "Sorry, Dad, but I'm telling. Do you want to buy my half of the ticket?" And I did, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll buy it." You know. And then he
wow.
decided and was like, we still got a lot of football left. So.
Well, good. He held on to it, but you probably wishing you bought the other half now.
Oh yeah. I mean, I wanted to. Like when he said it, I'm like, yeah, sure. How do you want me to give you the money? But no, that was a really incredible moment. Not just for the Rams to win the Super Bowl, but obviously to cash that type of ticket. So
yeah. So yeah, the Chargers right now on Bet Online are still plus 1,100 to win the AFC.
Went down a little tiny bit, but my pick for the AFC, and this is just based on the team has just gotten better. And I just don't see who's going to get through them. And that's the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
Like Lamar got paid. They're happy.
Plus 900.
They're plus 900. Okay.
Plus 900.
So they've gone down as well, but he has his receiving core. Like Zay Flowers, come on. Like
he's looking good.
He's looking good. Like then you got Odell. I don't think that Odell is going to be like just crisp Giants Odell, but he's still got some upside in him. You know what I mean? And I think that he's going to be utilized the way that Sean McVay wanted to utilize him. They have a new offensive coordinator that Lamar is saying he loves the way that he's letting him just take the reins of the offense and the things that he does. And then he still has Mark Andrews, who's like second best tight end after Travis Kelce. Niners fans are going to hate that, but I don't care. Like,
good. Let him hate.
Yeah. I mean, I think, especially if you can still get a little bit of value at 9-1, the Ravens. Why shouldn't it be their year? Do I think that Lamar is going to have like an MVP season? It's possible. It's possible. They say that, I don't know, I think he had like 36 touchdowns, like less than 7 interceptions, over 1,000 rushing yards with like 12 rushing touchdowns. Like he can have a better season than that because he set out a game that year. And we're adding a game, or they've already added a game. So
2 extra games.
It's possible. It's possible that he just goes completely nuts. The Ravens, their defense, I don't think that it's had too much fall off. And
hey, they got the best kicker in football. The important thing.
Get out of here, Justin Tucker, and he's so cultured. Like I think he plays the violin. Like and he was ready to scrap when his team was getting into it at joint practices. He is a Renaissance man.
He's a dude. He's a real dude. Kickers are people too, and he's more than that.
I love it. But I think the Bengals are still going to be good. No, here's the thing. The AFC is good. Like just because I'm saying that, I think that the Ravens could be the team. That doesn't take anything away from the Dolphins. Jalen Ramsey getting hurt, that's huge. I thought that secondary was just going to be shut down. But he'll be back. So him, Xavier, they're going to do their thing. I think that Tua and that system is going to be like secret, like special, like a secret top secret file, like with Mike McDaniel's brain. And he's just going to be unleashing every single game, just something crazy, these crazy nukes.
And Vic Fangio as defensive coordinator.
Man. So I think that the Dolphins are up there. Again, the Bengals, why not? They've been there before. They've been close again. They've tasted it too many times, like sharks with that blood taste in the water.
The Bills are going to be there at the end, whether they win or not, but they'll be there.
They might be. I'm not too sold on the Bills.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to win it, but I think they'll be in the playoffs
every year. And like this is no Bills Mafia. They're, they travel, they show up strong, they will badger you about their team. But I don't know. It's just I also believe I'm like very superstitious in a sense, and I think that they're cursed as a team. So that's where I am with it. I know that's a terrible, terrible football analysis. Like I'm not telling you anything. Josh Allen is great. Josh Allen is one of the greatest quarterbacks that we have in the game right now. But I think that they need a little bit more. Like they're always out looking for another receiver. Like, they're always trying to add to their arsenal. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't think that they feel like they even have enough. Didn't their running back go down? Hines, the guy that they picked up from the Colts, he went down earlier on in the season. So I don't know who they have in the backfield. Is Vaughn going to be back?
Who? Vaughn?
Yeah.
At some point. I don't know if he's going to be ready week 1, but at some point he'll be back. Yeah.
So, I mean, every week, like you got to get those dubs week after week, squeeze them all in there. So if they can get wins before he comes back, that's great. I think that that'll definitely help them get closer and closer to the playoffs. But that they're the division that they're in, Jets, Bills, Dolphins, Patriots.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't talk about the Jets possibly coming out of there, squeaky clean and winning the division. It's tough. The AFC is tough.
I know. When was the last time we said the Patriots were the worst team in their division by far? Like, that's
right.
crazy.
You can't count Bill B out. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, can't count them out, but they're definitely the least talented, at least at quarterback. So
this time around they are, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the AFC is wild. So the Broncos are slotted in at the 10th best odds to win at plus 2,500, and they could surprise people. So that just shows how good it is.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the Browns. That's the team I can't put my finger on because it's like
they're a dark horse to me. They really are. Telling Paula that you have Deshaun Watson. We don't know anything that he's been doing in terms of like, has he gotten better? Like what type of work is he putting in? Like his head has been down since this whole fiasco and all the stuff that he's gone through off of the field. Mm-hmm. But I mean, he still got to play, and the point of this game is to get out there and win championships. He got paid a lot of money. You would expect him to get out there and do his job. You have Amari Cooper. You have Nick Chubb, if Nick Chubb is going to play. And on the other side of the ball, like I was telling Paula, you have Myles Garrett, who defensively is a great, great, great player. And he doesn't get those accolades in terms of like defensive player of the year, like that type of stuff. It's always Aaron Donald. It's always the TJ Watt. So like, what about me? Like, let's come out here and give them a reason to stop saying that the Browns are a shitty team. Yep. So I think when you play with that type of chip, you can get shit done.
I mean, on paper, they're stacked. They got their defense is extremely good. I mean, Denzel Ward, Juan Thornhill, Grant Delpit was a great draft pick. They got Zadarius Smith. I mean, got a crazy defense. And so, yeah, if Deshaun Watson, just talking football, if he plays like Deshaun Watson of 3.5 years ago, granted that was a long time ago, but he was a top 5 quarterback at his peak. They're another team that watch out.
Man, AFC. I know some of those teams are like, can we go to the NFC where there's only like the Eagles, the Niners, Seattle. I think that Seattle should be good. They have a chance. Let's say that because it's open. So looking at the Vikings in the NFC North, you have the Vikings, the Lions, the Bears, and the Packers. Obviously, the Lions are the favorite. I think that they're going to be pretty good, but then I don't think that the Vikings are. I think the Vikings should be the favorite.
Yeah,
that's just me. That's just my opinion. Jared Goff. There's a lot of Rams fans that say, I love Jared Goff, no matter if he's a Ram or not. I'm always going to be rooting for him. I want him to do well. I mean, I don't want anybody to do poorly. Like, I'm not going to root for you to not succeed. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think that Jared Goff is the quarterback that gets you over the hump, that gets you to it. You know what I mean? And case in point, those were Sean McVay sentiments, when we got rid of him to get Matthew Stafford. But I think that him being in a different system, him being in a different locker room culture, and him having a coach that is actually like taking the time with him and believes in him and isn't throwing him out there to the wolves. And that's no shade, Sean, but like you had different expectations. And so I think that he is excelling, and as a team, they are excelling. But I don't know. I just think that the Vikings have a little bit more vet presence and vet experience. And like Kevin O'Connell, like you've given him a 2-headed monster with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. And, they don't have Cook anymore, but their running back is like Cook 2.0. Mm-hmm. Oh, and then they had this, their left tackle. I saw a video of their left tackle. What's his name? Christian Darrisaw, I think is his name. And he put the moves on this kid that tried to do a spin on him. And it was just like,
just buried him.
Like I was just like jealous, salivating. Yeah. Why don't we have that?
Hey, we had it for 3 years with Witt, so at least we had a good run with it.
At 40 years young. Thank you for everything that you did.
Yeah. Hey, bro's looking good. All that he's doing now. He's more busy than he was when he was with the Rams.
Yeah, slimmy, trimmy, but he had always been getting in shape like over the last couple of years. But now that he's out of the league, he's a totally different person.
We joked with him. He was on when Frosty was coasting with me. We had him on the show, and Frost was like, so how much are you actually practicing? I know you just show up, you like do some walkthroughs, and then you just stand on the side and coach. And with just like smirks, like, yeah, practices aren't too hard for me these days. So I mean, he's probably working harder now than he was back when he was playing. Still,
I love it.
Yeah,
good for Witt.
The guy's the man. Yeah. I love how he's Mr. LA now. He's only been here.
He's Mr. LA and Mr. LA, Los Angeles and Louisiana. And we can relate because that's where my family is from. So I'm sure he loves some good food, some good eats, Shout out Brittany Bites.
That's right. I know. Witt can be a first guest. Do some good bayou food. Some good Cajun food.
Yeah. Oh, man. That would be nice. Po' boys. Gumbo, shark grilled oysters. Oh, let me stop. I'm hungry. I'm getting hungry. But yes, I am excited to see how this all pans out. Obviously, we're just ready for the season to get started. Hurry up already. I'm itching.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
In the meantime, I will be continuing to watch my Hard Knocks. You said that you're watching Hard Knocks too.
Yep, I'm all caught up.
How do you feel about it? Do you feel that the drama is there?
I mean, I love Hard Knocks just because of the access you get and the production value. I mean, no one does it better than HBO. The production value is awesome, but and I have nothing against this season. It's just, I feel like in most seasons, it's like they pick, 4 or 5 rookies or undrafted guys they're following, and that's kind of like who you're rooting for. Whereas this one's clearly just all about Rodgers. And, I get it.
Like the 4 guys that you hope don't get cut, and then 3 of them end up getting cut, and you're sad, and
that's always how it is. And then this time it's just literally the first 2 episodes has just been the Aaron Rodgers show, which I think we don't have to get into it. I don't love Aaron Rodgers. I don't hate him as much I think as most people do, but I think it's, in my opinion, it's kind of cool to see this side of him, whether it's staged or not. It's like he seems like a fun dude. Like, I don't know if he's really like this all the time, but I'm kind of digging it. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Like, I think that they've tried to villainize him so much in the past that this is just easily refreshing, So
like I appreciate, again, like and you can say it's with any sports doc that's behind the scenes. Like, people are obviously going to act a little different when they know they're being filmed, but like, I love that scene when he's talking about like what's that, enjoy the little things or something. He's like, hey, this isn't promised. Like, love all this. Like, love every snap.
I really think he's like that. I do. I think that he's like very like holistic and like spiritually, sound, and like is very conscientious of his vibrations and things like that.
Yeah, I do too. It's funny, not to go down a rabbit hole, but it's like funny what society decides to like latch on and hate. Like, everyone hates on Rodgers because he's like kind of has his own beliefs and doesn't hurt anyone, doesn't treat anyone poorly, but just kind of like he's a little off the beaten path and going against and obviously the whole COVID stuff. And then you have Russell Wilson, who everyone just hates because he's like cheesy and he just like loves everyone too much and doesn't get mad at people. Like, why are we latching onto this?
Paul and I were kind of touching on that too. And like, what I actually brought up was the fact that the other side of things are that with Russell Wilson is that that his diva side has come out, like that people are saying he's not as nice and sweet, and that he has an entourage, and that he is too busy and has too many diva antics and things like that. So it's just like, I mean, there's always going to be a story about the face,
Were you sitting with us yet at Radio Row here in LA when him and his entourage walked by, or were you guys not down?
And we have been there for a week.
It's like 50 people.
It was the biggest entourage of all the entourages we saw. Like Stephen A. So we saw Russell's entourage 2 years ago, but then remember this past Radio Row when we saw Stephen A's entourage, and like you would think for Stephen A, like it's going to be relatively large, but no, Russell's was bigger.
Huge. I was shocked. I'm like, what is going on? Is it like a school group coming by or what?
No. I mean, they say that you got to call his assistant to get through to him. So,
Hey, to each their own, I guess.
Well, congratulations to him and Sierra, though. They're having another baby, and that might, like, rechannel his focus, because when you have a lot of kids at home, you don't want to really be at home. So it's a lot of noise. So you want to be out there on the field, getting the reps in and being locked in. That new dad energy is real sometimes. So
yeah, absolutely. So we'll see.
No, but Hard Knocks is right now. It's my Tuesday show. Tuesdays also is Untold, the Untold series on Netflix, the sports docs for the last. They've been coming out the last 3 weeks. They've been new, and then this next one is going to be the Florida, the Gators, and like the Urban Meyer dynasty. Well, not dynasty, but era. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
wait, what were the other new ones? I know the Menzel one. I know there were other ones.
We had the Johnny Menzel one. There was a Jake Paul one, and then this last one that I watched this week was the doping scandal with Victor Conti and like Barry Bonds and Marion Jones, and it's crazy, Ryan. Like Victor Conti had like faced like 100 counts, because like he was concocted. Well, let me not say that because he may sue me. No, I'm just kidding. But like he was pretty much helping these athletes, and the IRS is the agency that caught on to him because of like all these financials and like all the cars that he was driving or whatever. So they tried to hit him with like over 100 counts. Long story short, he ended up with only 2 counts. And now he's even bigger than ever. He's working with the anti-doping people because he was so good at like figuring out how to not detect it that they need him,
So he's like the Frank Abagnale of doping, like
yes, exactly. Just switched over. Yeah, on the other side now. But he's talking about how he started as like a nutrition brand and how athletes clinged on to him, and he worked with Marion Jones, and they go over like how she had to give up all her medals. It's a good one to watch outside of football. Right. But the football ones are my favorite. So
yeah, of course. Definitely. Yeah. Good to know. I'll check it out though. But yeah, Swamp King is gonna be great. Looking forward to that one. 4
parts. So pencil all 4 weeks in, or maybe they'll give us all 4 so that I can binge them all, which I appreciate. Thank you, Netflix.
Yeah.
But
Netflix usually does. Yeah, they don't do that. Sometimes. They don't do that sometimes. Yeah. So that's next week, next Tuesday, or like in 4 days, Tuesday.
The 22nd.
Okay. Yeah. So in 3 days.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Excited for the dirt.
Yes.
The swamp.
Well, thank you, Ryan. It has been real chopping it up with you and talking sporty.
Yes.
We'll have P next week, hopefully. She should be here. But until then, it's Go Rams per usual. I see you have on your Dodgers hat. That reminds me, I got to get Serena on here because we're getting close. We're getting close to October, baby. So we got to talk some baseball. And
yeah, Dodgers are looking good.
Yeah, I mean,
haven't they won like 9 straight or something, or 10 straight or something?
I don't know if it's 10, but I heard that we had won a few straight because I was looking at Mookie Betts and the home run that he hit that put him like 2 home runs closer to his season best, and like we still have so much baseball to go. So baseball's
so hard because as soon as it starts getting like interesting, it's like then football starts, then no one gives a crap anymore.
Yeah, it's tough. Like tis the season. Like I told Paula, it's all about to get revving up. So
yeah, like a preseason game will get more views than a September baseball game. So
true.
But anyway, thanks for having me. Always fun, always good catching up, and love what you guys are doing.
Thank you. We'll talk soon.
All right, guys.
Bye.